specifically to that person who maybe perhaps you have a goal, you have a dream, there's something that you have been pursuing, and you can see it. I mean, you can see that it is just within reach. I mean, you feel as if that it is possible. You know that it's possible, but yet and still, you're just not quite sure exactly how it's going to happen. And so there's a part of you that sometimes you get a little frustrated and you get a little discouraged because you feel as if it's within reach, but yet and still, it still feels as if it's so far. And if you're that individual, I'm talking to you, and I'm talking about that person that has that goal, that dream, that vision, that thing that you've been wanting to make happen, and you've been pursuing it now for some time. Maybe you've been pursuing it for months, or maybe perhaps you've been pursuing it now for years, and you're starting to get a little frustrated because even though you've been putting in the time, the effort, and the energy to make this thing happen, it still feels as if you're just not quite sure if you're going to be able to pull it off. You're just not quite sure if this thing is going to become a reality for you. And if that's you, I want to just share something simple with you. And here's what I want you to write down. If you're a note taker, write this down. Very powerful, powerful statement, but I want you to write it down. And here's what I want you to write down. You're closer than you think. Write that down. You're closer than you think. And you say, well, Andy, no. You don't understand my circumstances. You don't understand. I've been trying to get this business off the ground. I'm still in the process of just putting together this business plan. Andy, you don't understand. I've been trying to get this book out, and all I've done up to this point is a bunch of research. Andy, you don't understand. I've been going after this goal, this dream, this thing I've been trying to make happen now for years, and you're telling me I'm closer than I think. Listen, trust me on this. You are so much closer than you think. And no matter how far away this goal, this dream, this vision of yours seems, I can assure you of this, that all it takes is just a matter of just changes in your circumstances, you coming across the right person, the right opportunity showing up, or all of this effort, this energy that you've put in, all of it just all of a sudden getting to this place that we call the tipping point, where all of a sudden now you find yourself where all this accumulation of time and energy and effort and knowledge and all the things that you've put together, you will get to the point where you reach a tipping point, and the rest of the time, the rest of this journey that you have to accomplishing this goal, this thing that you're looking to accomplish, it will happen at lightning speed. And so I need you to understand that, because all too often when I'm speaking to my coaching clients and I'm speaking to people that I'm coaching, I find that they find themselves extremely discouraged. And what they fail to realize is that they've just got a couple of little tweaks, a couple of little adjustments to make. And if they're willing to just keep the course, if they would just not give up, if they just won't quit, that they will in fact realize their goals and their dreams. And I share that with you in the midst of me releasing my new book, Show Up for Your Life, 7 Principles to Living an Extraordinary Life. And I can tell you right now that for me to actually write the book, I had laser focus for about 3 months. I had laser focus, and I literally knocked out the entire book in 3 months. Now, here's what I wish I could tell you. I wish I could tell you that I wrote the book in 3 months, and then afterwards, right afterwards, I went ahead and did everything that I needed to do to go ahead and get the book published so that it's available for you right now to pre-order. But let me tell you, that's not really the case. I literally wrote the book in 3 months, and then unfortunately, let me tell you what happened. I put it down. I put the book down, and I found myself caught up in all these miscellaneous activities where I found myself going through this whole process of trying to decide which publishing route I was going to go, as whether or not I was going to go self-publishing or whether I was going to go through a traditional, conventional publisher. I was discussing and doing all of this additional research with a couple of things to finalize the book. And then, of course, putting the book down, let me tell you what ended up happening is I got caught up in my busyness, right? Between my coaching clients and my speaking engagements and the different projects that I have going on to grow my business and the people that I'm also end up happening is I got so far removed from this particular book that next thing you know, not just 1 month went by, not just 2 months went by, not 6 months went by, but an entire year went by where the book and the manuscript was just laying dormant. And then let me just tell you what happened is I found myself starting to realize and starting to really think that the finish line was so much further off than what it really needed to be. And so maybe perhaps you can relate to that. There's something that you have been working on, something that you know that you want to make come to fruition. Maybe perhaps it's a business. Maybe perhaps you've been thinking about finishing a degree, or maybe perhaps you've been thinking about going back to school. Maybe you've been thinking about making a career change. Maybe you've been trying to figure out how to make a career out of your gifts, your skills, and your talents. And you've been on this journey, and yet and still, it just feels as if, even though you've been putting in the time, the effort, and energy, it feels as if the goal is so far removed. And what you start to begin to do is you begin to self-sabotage yourself. And you say, well, Andy, what do you mean by that? Well, self-sabotaging is when you are well on your way to making this thing happen, well on your way to growing your business, well on your way to writing the book, well on your way to losing the weight, well on your way to finding a fulfilling, happy relationship. And now you're in the middle of the process. And then, unfortunately, you start finding ways to delay the process. You start finding ways to sabotage yourself. In many ways, you start doing what I did in many ways with my book, and which I got caught up in doing research. I got caught up in having a bunch of extra conversation. I got caught up in all my busyness. And next thing you know, I put the manuscript down. And so what I need you to realize is that oftentimes when we're in the pursuit of our goals and our dreams, and we're literally going after whatever it is that we're looking to make happen, that we would literally find ways oftentimes to self-sabotage ourselves, and only to fail to realize that we're so much closer than what we think. And so here's what I could tell you right now. Whatever goal, whatever dream, whatever it is that you're working on right now, I can assure you that no matter how far off that you believe that this thing is, whether you think that it's a year off, 5 years off, 10 years off, or whether you just feel as if it's just not going to happen for you, I can assure you of this. If you're willing to hold on to the vision, if you're willing to keep the course, that I can assure you that you are so much closer than what you think. And one of the things that I can also tell you is that because of the fact that you're so much closer than what you think, and because of the fact that you are getting very close to approaching the finish line, that you're getting close to writing the book, that you're getting close to starting the business, that you're getting close to taking your goals and your dreams to the next level, that I can assure you also that some things are going to show up that's going to make you start second guessing as to whether or not this is going to happen for you. So in other words, you can expect to be tested. In other words, you may in fact experience some level of breakdown. You may experience some challenges. And let me just tell you that that is all part of the process. And so here's what I need you to realize, though. If you can't keep your head level, if you can't focus on and keep the main thing, if you don't have a level of laser focus, if you can't hold on to the vision, even when you want to let go, then what's going to happen is you'll find yourself drifting away, and you'll find yourself self-sabotaging, and eventually you'll find yourself, like many people, giving up on your goals and your dreams and formulating a story to justify why you should give up on your goals and your dreams. And so what I need you to realize is this, is that you are so much closer than what you think. I'm telling you, when I picked that book back up, and I tell you, I had a new level of focus, and I abandoned all of this additional research and all this stuff that I was doing to self-sabotage the process. And I just got back focused, and I held on to the vision. And I thought about what the end game is. The end game is to make impact. The end game is to get this book into hands of thousands of people. The end game is to transform lives through the stories and the things and the principles that I share in this book. And so when I gained back that level of focus, let me just tell you, I started coming up on that finish line in ways that you wouldn't believe. But let me also tell you this, that as I got closer and closer to the finish line, as I got closer and closer to pre-launching the book, I can also tell you that more obstacles began to actually pop up. And so it's one of those things that I tell you all the time, is as you approach opportunity and as you approach the finish line, as you approach this thing that you are looking to make happen, you can expect that there is going to be some actual obstacles. There's going to be some opposition. And that's why I tell you all the time, is as you approach opportunity, whatever the opportunity may be for you, whatever that opportunity is right now that you are honed in on, that you're focusing on, as you approach opportunity, opposition escalates. So what it means is that you have to understand that as you get closer to the finish line, that there's going to be some things that are going to show up, some things are going to pop up. And they're there, and they're really designed to, number one, to test your resilience. They're there to test your level of focus. And they're also there to ask you the single question, how bad do you really want it? And so understand that there's going to be some things that are going to pop up as you're getting close to the finish line. And they're just there to ask you, how bad do you really want it? And so expect frustration to pop up. Expect some things that you didn't anticipate. Let me tell you, I was just this close to getting the book done. And all of a sudden now I was having issues with a very simple process, which was the interior book design, the interior book layout. The people who were responsible for the interior book layout, unfortunately, were not meeting their deadlines. Unfortunately, they weren't not meeting my expectations. And so that part of the process, which I thought was going to be extremely easy, ended up frustrating the process. And I had to remind myself, I had to say to myself, I said, wait a second, Andy, it's why? It's because you're closer than what you think, Andy. Why? It's because you're literally approaching this massive opportunity to get this book in the hands of thousands of people. And so, of course, opposition is going to escalate. Of course, some things are going to happen. And so right now, if you're in the middle of some trials, some things are happening, circumstances are showing up that you didn't think were going to show up. I just want to remind you that the only reason why these things are happening is because you are approaching your opportunity. You are approaching your breakthrough. You are approaching your next level. And so, yes, naturally, things are going to happen. And so it makes me think about, I was on the phone just earlier today with a friend of mine. And as a matter of fact, a friend of mine was just filling me in on some things that were happening in his life at the moment. And he said, Andy, you won't believe it, man. It's like a whirlwind what's going on right now. He said, Andy, first of all, the place that I'm living right now, they are literally, the landlord has decided to essentially double the rent on me. And he said, this is crazy. I mean, you're talking about my living expenses practically doubling. He said, now, to make matters even worse, guess what? I need you to realize this, Andy. I'm driving my car, and all of a sudden it's shifting out of gear, and then lo and behold, I need a new transmission. When I go ahead and get an estimate for the new transmission, it looks like the transmission is going to cost me about $3,000. And then he says, Andy, to make matters even worse, man, he said, the last time I had a job, I vowed to myself that I was not going to get another job. And because of the circumstances right now, because of the fact that my rent's doubling, because of the fact that my transmission is out, I've got to go temporary right now and get a job to go ahead and create some additional supplemental income with my business right now. And as he's sharing this with me, I can't help but think and say, oh my goodness. I said, man, I realized that this is one of those things that life will do to you. And the reason why I say this is because this same friend, we've had some great conversations. And I know his gifts, I know his skills, I know his talents, and I know that he's about to have some massive success. And I know that he's positioning himself to really be able to have a massive breakthrough. And so I said, whoa, 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 whoa. How amazing is it that right now, as he's getting closer to his opportunity, as he's getting closer to his breakthrough, that as he's getting closer to this opportunity, that opposition now naturally is escalating. As he's getting close to this opportunity, and as he's getting close to his breakthrough, all of a sudden now he's experiencing a massive breakdown. And so I had to remind him, I said, hey, man, listen, man, that these are just temporary things. These are all things that are just showing up right now, that it's only because you're getting so close to a massive breakthrough. You're getting so close to a massive opportunity. And so let me just tell you that that is just one of the things that happens in life, that I can tell you right now, that the moment you start approaching a breakthrough, the moment you start approaching the finish line, the moment you start approaching a massive opportunity, you can expect that there will be obstacles, that there will be challenges, that there will be opposition, that things will begin to appear to frustrate you, to get you to lose focus, to get you to stop holding the vision. And so one of the things that I know that's so important when you're trying to cross the finish line is you got to hold the vision. You've got to write it down. You've got to make it plain. But most importantly, you got to keep your eyes on the prize. You got to do what has been said over and over again. You got to be willing, as Stephen Covey said, is you got to keep the main thing the main thing. And so these obstacles, these oppositions that are coming your way, these breakdowns, they're just momentary distractions that are trying to distract you from this amazing opportunity that you're about to enter. They're trying to distract you from this amazing, amazing breakthrough that is about to come your way. They're trying to distract you from your next level. And so understand this, that your next level, your next opportunity, your next breakthrough is waiting on you. And so this breakdown that you're experiencing right now, this obstacle that you're experiencing right now, that it has just shown up to be literally to be able to distract you. And so sometimes you can just get caught up in what's around you, and you feel as if you're so far away from the finish line. You know, like I told you, this past week, my wife and I, we had the opportunity to spend 5 days in Costa Rica, and we had an amazing time. And, you know, my wife, she's such a trooper. I was actually able to convince her to go out on a jet ski with me. And so, you know, we rented a jet ski. And so we both got on the jet ski together. Of course, she was nice enough to go ahead and let me drive, knowing my history of wanting to go really fast on on motorized vehicles, you know. So she knows I like to go full throttle. She knows I like to push it, and she got on there with me anyway. And so she's holding on to me, and she's holding on to my waist. And so, you know, we start headed out, man. And I mean, we start going out, and we're heading out. I mean, it's nothing but open ocean. And I'm telling you, I'm going out there. But as I'm going, truth be told, that there's a little bit of fear that starts to overtake me at some point. And the reason why is because there's one particular point where my wife and I, we were so far out in the ocean that when I looked forward, all I could see was ocean. When I looked to my right, when I looked to my left, all I could see was ocean. When I looked behind me, all I could see was ocean. I mean, as far as finding the shoreline, as far as finding land, the land was so far away. The shoreline was so far away. And I realized for a moment there, I was like, man, it's just me and my wife on this jet ski, and there's nothing but ocean around us. We are so far away from land. God forbid if something were to happen, it would be a very long time before anybody realized that something happened to us. But not only that, but we are out of sight. Like, people can't even see us right now. And so there's a part of me that really started to panic a little bit. And sometimes when you're in the middle of your goal and your dream, you look around and it feels as if you are so far away from the finish line. You look in front of you and you can't see the finish line. You look to your right, you look to your left, and the finish line is nowhere in sight. You look behind you and literally you feel like you're out in the middle of the ocean. And let me just tell you, when I realized that, I turned around and I started to hit the throttle again, and I started to hit the gas, and we just started literally, I mean, jetting right through the ocean. And let me just tell you, before I knew it, it was just a matter of a few minutes, I could see the shoreline. In a matter of a few minutes, I could see land again. And all of a sudden, there was this level of calm that came around again. And let me just tell you, I didn't even realize that even when I was out there in the middle of that ocean, and it seemed as if we were so far away from the shoreline, we were so much closer than what we thought. And all I had to do was to stay focused. All I had to do was to keep pushing forward. All I had to do was to just keep hitting the throttle. And so here's what I'm saying to you right now, that right now, maybe perhaps you've been a little bit frustrated. Maybe you've been trying to make this thing happen. And so what I'm trying to remind you is you got to be willing to just hit the throttle, baby. You got to keep the main thing. You got to stay focused. Don't get caught up in what's going on around you. Don't get caught up in what you don't have. Don't get caught up in what this person is saying, what that person is saying. Don't get caught up in how long you've been trying to make it happen. Don't get caught up with the fact that you don't have enough history. You don't have the background. You don't have the degree. Don't get caught up in what's going on in your bank account. Don't get caught up in the circumstances. You got to exercise the level of faith and keep going forward. That's why they say faith is a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And so you wouldn't need faith if you could see it. And so sometimes you can't see it. When you look around you, you look at the circumstances, you can't see it. You just can't seem to see the finish line. You're saying to yourself, when will I get this book done? When will I get the business off the ground? When will I get this degree done? When will I be able to finally realize my goals and my dreams? Sometimes it feels so far off, but here's what I tell you, and I want you to remember what I tell you to write down. You are so much closer than what you think. You are so much closer than what you think. If you can just maintain a level of focus, if you can hold the vision, if you can just simply not judge the circumstances and not judge the obstacles, I can assure you that before you know it, you'll be crossing the finish line. I can assure you that before you know it, things will begin to happen in ways that you wouldn't even begin to believe. And all of a sudden, when you find yourself so far off, you'll look back and you say, my goodness, I can't believe that moment that I almost quit. I can't believe that moment that I started to talk myself out of it. I can't believe that moment I got so caught up in what was going on in my bank account. I got so caught up in the fact that, things were difficult. I got so caught up in what the person who let me down. I got so caught up with the fact that I didn't have enough people to help me out and support me or whatever, that I almost lost vision and I almost lost sight of what it is that I'm working on. And what I'm telling you is this, is that you are so much closer than what you think. And so here's what I need you to do. As you look at it, I want you to think about right now, what this goal, what this dream, what is it that you've been pursuing? That you're hungry for it. You want this thing to happen, but yet and still, it just seems so far off. You can see it, but it still feels as if you just can't touch it. You just can't reach it. You know it's possible, but you're just not quite sure how it's going to happen for you. And so if that's you right now, what I want to remind you, number one, is that you're so much closer than what you think. Number two, understand this, that you have to understand is that there's going to be a process. And along the process, there's going to be some things that you don't understand, right? There's going to be some things along the process, too, that are also going to frustrate you. And so know that the closer you get to the finish line, that you will and you should expect to be tested. You should also expect that some obstacles are going to present themselves, and that, yes, in fact, guess what? You're going to experience a couple of breakdowns. The breakdowns are going to come. But understand that the reason why they are showing up and the reason why they're coming around is because they're just there to simply try to distract you and to get you to stop focusing on the finish line. But if you can maintain a level of focus on this book, if you can maintain a level of focus on this business, if you can maintain a level of focus on this new career, if you can maintain a level of focus on getting that significant other person in your life, or whatever it is that your goals, your dreams, and your desires, whatever it is that you're looking to make happen, if you can maintain a level of focus, if you can hold on to the vision, if you can go ahead and avoid allowing yourself to get distracted and keep the main thing, and don't major in the minors, because many of us get caught up in the little teeny minor things and we start to major in the minors. And when you major in the minors, unfortunately, you cannot make it into the big leagues. You can't accomplish your goals and your dreams. You can't make whatever it is that you're pursuing come to fruition. So one thing that I know for certain is this is your time. Opportunity always takes now as an answer. This is your time right now. Don't allow anyone to talk you out of it. Don't you talk yourself out of thinking that maybe perhaps you should put your goals and your dreams on the sideline. Maybe perhaps this isn't your time, because yes, it is your time. This is your time right now. This is, in fact, your time. But the only thing is, it's going to require a level of commitment from you to, number one, understand that you're so much closer than what you think. Trust the process. Understand that you're going to have to go through some stuff, and everything that you're going through right now is preparing you for who you need to be as you cross this finish line. Understand that the process, don't judge the process, but simply trust the process. Go through the process. It's something that you can't avoid. All of us, when we're trying to get to the finish line, we got to go through the process. There is no shortcuts to success. The elevator is broken. You have to take the stairs. You're going to have to go the hard way. You're going to have to go directly there. There's no shortcuts. Trust the process, but also make sure that you're holding on to the vision, and don't allow yourself to get distracted, because there's going to be so many things that are going to show up to try to distract you. But if you can just hold the vision and keep the main thing, I can assure you that your time will come. I can assure you that this thing that you're pursuing, this thing that you're looking to make happen, it is going to happen. And so let me remind you just one more time. You are so much closer than what you think. Don't allow yourself to get distracted. Trust the process and keep the main thing the main thing. And let me tell you, I can't wait to hear from you, to get an email from you, to hear from you in our private group, for you, so you can share with me, Andy, listen, I tuned into that message, man, where you're talking about that you're so much closer than what you think. And I tell you, Andy, I was thinking about giving up on my goals and my dreams. There's some in particular I was working on, and I was ready to throw in the towel. But when I heard you say that, I kept the course, even though when I looked around, I wasn't quite sure how things were going to work out. And shortly after hearing your message, you don't understand, I got the right people on my team. I had some things that were frustrating me that I couldn't figure it out. I figured it out. I got the right mentor, the right coach. I did a change in the system. All of a sudden, there's resources began to appear. All of a sudden, things happen, and it finally worked out for me. Thank you so much for telling me that I was closer than what I thought. Thank you so much for letting me know that I needed to just simply just keep pushing forward, that I need to hold on to the vision, that I shouldn't psych myself out and get caught up in the circumstances. Thank you, Andy. Because you were right. I was so much closer than what I thought. And so I'm telling you that that is going to be your reality, but you got to be willing to keep the main thing, and you got to be willing to understand that you are so much closer than what you think. And I can't wait to hear from you. And of course, you know, this wouldn't be Andy Henriquez if I didn't end by telling you this. Show up for your lives, ladies and gentlemen, because if you don't, nobody else will. And so let me just tell you, I am so excited. I am so grateful and thankful that all of you are part of the Show Up for Your Life movement. And I want to make a special request for you because I'm telling you right now, I literally put all that I have, the best that I have into this book, the new book that I'm releasing right now, Show Up for Your Life, 7 Principles to Living an Extraordinary Life. And what I'm telling you right now is I know for sure, I know that if you read this book and if you implement these 7 principles, if you allow me to be able to just simply inspire you and touch your heart through the powerful stories that I share in this book, if you go through the exercises that I have in this book, if you just simply go through and read this book, I can assure you, I can promise you this book is life-changing. It would change your life. And so for those of you who have already pre-ordered your book, I thank you for that. And for those of you who have not, I'm telling you right now, this minute, do not make an excuse. Right now, this minute, go and pre-order your copy of Show Up for Your Life. And here's how you do that. Just go right now. The website is showupforyourlifebook.com. Everything spelled out properly. Showupforyourlifebook.com. I want you to go ahead and make sure that you order that book. You pre-order the book, and the pre-ordered books will be shipped out within the next 7 weeks. But I want you to go ahead and place your pre-order right now as I speak. Order right now, showupforyourlifebook.com. And I'll make sure that, of course, when these books are shipped out and so forth, I can assure you that when you get this book, I can't wait to get the emails and the messages from you when you read it, because I know it is going to transform your life. And of course, for those of you, for some reason or another, if you and I have not yet connected, you can go to showupforyourlife.com. You'll find a place where you can put in your name and your email address. That's going to allow me and you to stay connected. And of course, finally, if you're not part of our private Facebook group, you can open up a separate URL and simply type in showupgroup.com, and that'll take you to our private Facebook page, and it's going to allow us to have dialogue. And for those of you who are tuning in via the live stream and you're going to have questions and comments, of course, since you won't be able to ask those questions and comments on the conference call, you can post your question and comments in the Show Up group, in the actual Facebook group. So once again, get your copy right now. Get your copy right now of the Show Up for Your Life book. You simply just go to showupforyourlifebook.com. Showupforyourlifebook.com. You want to do that right now so that you can go ahead and get your copy. I assure you of this. You will not be disappointed when you go ahead and you read that book. It will, in fact, transform your life. And so like we always do,